Jason Alley on.
Jason Alley, I just started the stream. We are going to try to stream this to YouTube. The computer to pick this up is right next to it. It's not going to be great, but it's an attempt.
So speak loudly.
Okay.
Will do.
I can't hear you if you're talking yet.
Nobody's talking.
He's actually in another room, so.
Oh, okay.
Is that Nels?
No.
Hi, Nels.
Hello.
All right, Nels, we've
Is
got,
there two? Hello. Hello.
Hello, Eric.
hello.
Hello, Eric. Nels and Eric are both on there.
You do need to speak loudly so that the computer that is picking up the stream will catch you.
So it's 6:30. We'll
Okay.
call this meeting to order. Candy, will you take a roll call so we
I'm
can
gonna take
see
a roll
who all
call.
is present?
Nels Anderson,
Here.
Sharon Mitchell,
Here.
Allie Sealing,
Here.
Doug Updike,
Present.
Jason Winbolt,
Present.
Eric Boyle, absent.
Here.
No, he's here.
Oh, good. Eric is here. Brent Hoffman.
Yep.
Brent? Okay, Brent is absent. We have a quorum.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for calling in on this special arranged meeting. First step is to approve the agenda for this special meeting.
So move.
Second. This is Jason.
It's moved and seconded for approval of the agenda. Candy, please collect the vote.
Mr. Updike,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Sealing,
Yes.
Mr. Winbolt,
Yes.
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
approved.
Thank you very much. So moving on to action items, we do have two action items this evening. The first action item is resolution for refunding school bond series 2020-A. Dr. Burke?
Yeah, hey, we're pretty excited about this. When the interest rate kept going down, we were excited about it, and then all the other things kept going down, and we were afraid we would not be able to lock in. Greg Berenberg kept working with this. He has actually been able to lock down our savings. Our total savings is 2.576,250. So $2.57 million we can save for our taxpayers. We're very excited about it because I think within the afternoon after we got it locked in, the interest rates had flopped, and we were very fortunate that these people were willing to allow us to continue. So I don't know, do one of them have the actual resolution in front of them that they need to read?
It's on computer.
Okay, so it's on the computer. So
Yeah,
with that, you've got it?
I've got it up.
Okay.
If you need me to read it. I've got a question before we head on. Was there any fact, I saw that there was some kind of movement, whether it was stimulus or change in interest rates or something with municipal bonds, and I didn't know what the impact of that was,
Well,
if any.
yeah, it won't have any impact on this bond issue because we did a deal directly with Capital One, and they quoted us a rate and said we had a certain period of time to lock that in, and we did, and thankfully we did it when we did because, like Dr. Burke mentioned, it changed within hours. So, yeah, no matter what's going on in the market right now, this is a rate that Capital One is definitely honoring, and the savings has been locked in.
So with that, we recommend that we have an opportunity to save our taxpayers $2.57 million. We recommend that we approve Resolution A and Resolution B.
There are two separate action items.
Any questions on either of these resolutions?
Let's do it. I'd make the motion, but I'm driving. I don't have it in front of me.
Sharon, are you
Yeah.
there?
Yes, I can. Mr. President, I move that the board approve resolution 20-10 for the refunding of school bonds, series 2020A, as follows: a resolution authorizing and providing for the sale, insurance, and delivery of taxable general obligation refunding bonds, series 2020A, of Unified School District Number 230, Johnson/Miami County, Kansas, Spring Hill, for the purpose of providing funds to refund a portion of the issuer's outstanding general obligation bonds, providing for the levy and collection of an annual tax for the purpose of paying the principal of and interest on said bonds as they become due, making certain covenants and agreements to provide for their payment and security thereof, and authorizing certain other documents and actions connected therewith.
I second.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
Second, this is Ally.
Ally Stevens, second.
It's moved and seconded to pass the resolution as read. Do we have to do these separately? It's two different action items.
Mm-hmm.
So the resolution read was on refunding school bonds, series 2020-A. Any questions? Moved and seconded. Any questions, comments on refinancing these bonds? Candy, please collect the vote.
We'll start with Mr. Anderson. Mr. Anderson,
Yes, it's on mute.
Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Sealing,
Yes.
Mr. Winbolt,
Yes.
Mr. Boyle,
Yes.
Mr. Updike,
Yes.
approved.
Thank you. Moving on to the second action item is resolution for refunding school bonds, series 2020-B. Dr. Burke?
Kind of the same thing, two different resolutions, because I believe it's two different sets of bonds. And so just to make sure we connect all the dots, we need to have a separate resolution. One thing I didn't say earlier, though, when we brought this to you, it seems like forever ago, but only a couple months ago, I believe that there was a considerable more amount of money that we were using to sell on the bonds. And I believe we were talking about 60 to 70 million in bonds. I believe the final number dropped down to what, 37 million? Does that sound about right?
Or 40.
So the positive is we're saving this amount of money off of 37 million. We're also hoping that once everything stabilizes, everything recovers, we might be able to turn around and sell that other 30 some odd million and make some kind of savings. I don't know if we'll get 2.5 million in savings, but if we could get somewhere around another million in savings, that's a pretty good deal for our taxpayers. So we recommend that you go ahead and pass a resolution for Series 2020D.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve resolution 20-11 for the refunding of school bonds, series 2020B, as follows: a resolution authorizing and providing for the sale, insurance, and delivery of taxable general obligation refunding bonds, series 2020B of Unified School District Number 230, Johnson, Miami County, Kansas, Spring Hill, for the purpose of providing funds to refund a portion of the issuer's outstanding general obligation bonds, providing for the levy and collection of an annual tax for the purpose of paying the principal of and interest on said bonds as they become due, making certain covenants and agreements to provide for the payment and security thereof, and authorizing certain other documents and actions connected therewith.
Second. Derek.
Eric seconded.
Thank you. It's moved and seconded to pass a resolution for refunding school bonds, series 2020-B as read. Any questions, comments, or concerns on this?
What year bonds were these again?
These are 2011 bonds.
2011.
Just want to say thank you to Doug and everyone for all your hard work on this.
No problem. You're welcome.
Yes, and thank you, Sharon, for reading the motions.
Candy, please collect the vote.
We'll start with Mrs. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mrs. Sealing,
Yes,
Mr. Winbolt,
Yes.
Mr. Boyle,
Yes,
Mr. Updike,
Yes,
Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
approved.
very good, thank you. Just a quick note, I don't know if everybody saw that, but over the past few years, just in refinancing bond dollars, we've saved our taxpayers a total of over $8.5 million in interest. I think that's a good testament to our administration for having the right people in place to watch over this and keep track of it and work diligently to provide that benefit to our taxpayers within our district. Moving on to discussion item, it is the Board of Education update. Dr. Burke.
Yeah, hey, first of all, Mr. Updike, I want to say thank you. Doug Swin and Brad have done an incredible amount of work. Raymond James and Greg Berenberg, and also our friends at Gilmore and Bell. So we really want to say thank you to them as well. So update, there's been quite a few things going on, and we wanted to give you a quick update on some of the things that you're hearing and seeing. Hopefully, the things that we're sending out to the parents in the community, you've been able to read that. I can tell you, things have moved much quicker than we thought. Last Friday, Brad and I were in a meeting with the Johnson County Emergency Management Group, and we were just trying to get the county to consider extending spring break for 1 week so that we had a chance to, everybody that was coming back from spring break would be able to maybe self-quarantine, get us a chance to see if anybody was sick, kind of provide some extra protection. We were on a phone call with the state, Dr. Norman, I believe it was his name, Kansas State Department of Health, and Randy Watson with Kansas State Department of Education. And both of those two people were very adamant that we were not closing schools and that they would only consider closing a school if we had an actual case within an identified case within the building. That was a week ago Friday, folks. Tuesday morning, the county decided to extend that 2 weeks to close schools, and then Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock, the governor shut down schools. The heads up that we got on that was right before we went on the air with the county, we got a quick heads up, maybe 10 minutes, that was going to happen. And so I can tell you spring break was kind of shot for many reasons and many people, but all of a sudden we were faced with kind of a new dilemma. I'm very excited. We have put quite a few plans in place. We have more things that are coming, but I got to tell you that we changed our priority a little bit. Our first priority was we need to make sure our kids who are underfed and maybe do not have the resources to make sure that they get fed. So that was our first priority. Our second priority was to make sure that we took care of our staff and make sure that we made decisions that was best for them. And then our third priority is to continue to educate the students. And so, not saying that our staff was not important, but we put our time and energy kind of into that. I'm going to start out and have JC Dalton come in. JC's, if you want to stand up there, come forward. One thing I should tell you, those of you who are not here, we are practicing good social distancing. There's only about 5 people in the room now, 6 of us. And most everybody is about 6 foot away from each other. JC came in, and JC's going to give you a quick report on what we're doing to feed the kids.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to get started right off. As Dr. Burke said, things have changed quite significantly. A week ago Friday was our last day of school, and I was planning for a possible 2-week closure, which I had a cycle menu. We were good to go. And then got things in the works. Then Tuesday, of course, the new information came down. So what we have set up, we have 4 grab-and-go meal sites, and 1 is Spring Hill Elementary School, Timber Sage Elementary School, Woodland Springs Middle School, and then we have the Spring Hill Civic Center. We are asking families to fill out a meal request form that Misty set up for us online, and so I will pull those numbers in the morning, and I will check to see how many we have at each of the sites, and we'll pad those numbers, so we know how many sack lunch meals to take. We will give each family for each child one breakfast and one lunch meal. To take with them, we will do a drive-up service, and so they'll stay in their cars, they'll circle around, and we will have one employee, if they see two children in the car that are age 1 to 18, student or not student, doesn't matter. We will take those meals out for those kids. One employee will get those to the family, and the other employee will enter that information into our point of sale device, or point of sale system, which is Skyward. So Phil and his team have given us 3 Chromebooks for the 3 schools that we're doing. We have to enter all of those meals by student name or ID. They have to be tracked that way for now. And it doesn't matter if they're free, paid, or reduced, they still have to be tracked. If they're not a student, we'll put them on the guest account that I set up. And then for the Spring Hill Civic Center, we get to do numbers. So we get to do the number of meals served, which a lot of stuff in the media that you're currently hearing is for districts who have 50% or more free or reduced. They have high census numbers of poverty. They get to just count all numbers. They're not dealing with student names. So that'll make this a little bit more tedious, but I think we've got some good ideas in place. If we get too busy, we'll have another person outside with a notebook where we can just jot kids' names down and we can enter them later. And I know a lot of these kiddos aren't gonna remember their ID. They've been off school for over a week. And so that 6-digit PIN number is probably not gonna be fresh in their mind. So even if we just get their name, we can jot it down and we can enter it after the fact. We're going to set up tables at each site. So at the front entrance of the 3 school sites, and then one at the Civic Center for walk-ups, because we will be taking walk-ups. We are asking our families and our staff to practice social distancing of 6 feet. What we'll do is if we see a family of one parent walking up and 2 kiddos, we'll set 2 breakfast meals, 2 lunch meals on the table, we'll step back, and then let that family take those and just get the information. We'll write it down and we'll enter it later. We may have to adjust as we go. I'm not sure how many walk-ups we'll get. I think Olathe said he had today, they have 9 Title I sites, they had about 1,500 students, and I think almost 200 will walk up. So the majority of families are driving. But I know we're gonna have some kids that may not have access. Parents may not have a car, parents may be at work still, so we'll have that option. We will have either sanitizer for the tables, or I'm trying to get Clorox wipes. If I can just get my hands on some, I'm gonna talk to some admin tomorrow that are in to see if anybody has extra Clorox or Lysol wipes, so they can wipe down those tables. And I could steal that one right here. They can wipe down those tables every so often. I don't think we're gonna get a lot of walk-ups, but again, I'm just not sure. Before I left the office, we had 246 meals requested. And the sites are 124 from Spring Hill Elementary School, 55 at Woodland Spring, 39 at the Civic Center, and 29 at Timber Sage. I've set up a 5-week cycle breakfast menu and a 5-week cycle lunch menu. I had set that up for 10 days thinking we would just be off for 10 days. So we can either keep that going or I can change it. I have to wait for staff to get me their inventory, which will happen this week. The staff that's not helping with these sites and the distribution will get inventory, they'll get me dates, and then we may have to just adjust as we go. Right now we're doing all cold. I know one school district is trying hot stuff on a couple days and he's gonna let me know how that goes. So we will see, because we do have items in the freezer that we'd like to use for our kiddos.
One thing that I would throw out that's been frustrating is when you hear the lady who's in charge of the school lunch program from the state, she seems to always be talking from the point of view as if you're at 50% free and reduced. And then she'll emphasize that, then somebody will ask you another question. Everything that she answers is based on that 50%. We keep being told that there's going to be lots of changes, and actually one of the changes benefited us. We're not supposed to be able to be able to distribute food from a school site, but we were able to identify the Civic Center as being in the middle of federally funded housing. And we got a letter from Jim Hendershot, and the mayor's been willing to work with us, and so we were able to give an additional site. But right now we can't just deliver food to people's homes. They would have to be free and reduced and quarantined for us to be able to do that. There's lots of things that sound real good, but right now the rules and regulations have not changed to the point that we can do that. We have reached out to the city. We met with them on Friday and asked them to coordinate. Right now we can provide breakfast and lunch, starting on lunch on Monday, breakfast all the way through Saturday. So we can provide that. But we told them if organizations are wanting to help What we really need is someone to be able to provide supper for our kids, or to provide food on the weekends for our kids. Some things that can happen is we can have a distribution site that's an official school site, and then 10 feet away from us, you could have a church on, Monday that says we'll do supper, and they can hand things out at that time. Maybe Tuesday is the Rotary, Wednesday, Grace Church. Whoever. I know Glenda Guarantee was going to try to work and try to coordinate that. So we do appreciate our community working with us. Do you guys have any questions for Kate or for JC? Because once someone is done speaking, we're probably going to send them home so that we can continue to maintain our proper numbers.
This is Allie. I have some questions.
Okay.
Hi, JC. Thank you.
Hi.
First, I really appreciate all that you're doing for our students. It's very important. And also thanks to everybody for working with the city and also into our Olathe schools too, just covering the whole district. I appreciate that. Dr. Burke, you just said something about through Saturday. You're not saying that meals will be provided Saturday. Right now, we're just Monday through Friday. Is that correct?
We can give on Friday, when we give them lunch, it will include breakfast for Saturday.
Okay, I
So
gotcha.
it's 2 meals a day, and then the thought is on that Friday, if they pick that up between 11 and 1, they'll have that breakfast for the next day.
Gotcha. So every day, so they pick up Monday through Friday.
Correct, 2 meals, breakfast and lunch Monday through Friday, so 10 meals total.
And then there's been a little bit of conflicting information, so I just want to be sure that this is right. To order a meal, is it by 5 o'clock or is it by midnight tonight?
It's midnight, and I will tell you, if people show up, we are not gonna turn anybody away. I'm gonna pad all the numbers, and I know not everybody's gonna have access to the website, or they're gonna forget. So it'll just give us at least somewhat of an idea of how many meals to have.
Right, that'll help you prepare, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we can look at that wording till midnight. And then this is all ages 1 through 18, or 0 through 18 can get meals. They don't have to be current students enrolled in our district. Is that right? Meaning if they're 4, we'll give them a meal.
That's correct, but it's 1 through 18, so I can't give a 9-month-old baby, we can't give
Okay.
him or her a meal.
It's
So
1
it's
through
ages
8.
1 through 18, and whether they've graduated, and we're not gonna ID anybody. If a kiddo comes
Right.
up and they say they're 1 to 18, we're good.
Okay.
Again, they could be from the Olathe district. We might have kids that go to Olathe to get meals. And
Okay.
we can serve, and if we have someone in from Wichita staying with a grandparent, 2 kids, we can serve any kiddo 1 through 18.
Okay, but the kind, not the catch, but I don't know how else to say it, is that the child has to be there. Is that right? Like
That-
someone come up and ask you for 5.
That is under the current regulations, yes. Now, we have a conference call at 9 a.m. tomorrow, but she hasn't told us, again, the state director, if there's any changes. I haven't heard of any changes, but right now, that is the regulation.
If somebody shows up and says, I have a sick kid at home,
Absolutely.
JC's has already told her people to give them that food and to take it. We just don't
Okay.
get funded for that.
Right. And I told them
Okay.
to use their best judgment, use common sense. We'll take care of our
Perfect.
kids.
And if they
So
have
that was gonna be
17
my-
kids in their backseat, we may not count accurately.
So that was actually going to be my next question. I'm thankful to hear that. I know we have some families that came back and are quarantined for 14 days. So I've had a couple people ask me, do you think it'd be okay if I picked it up and took it and dropped it off on their porch? And I told them that I would ask. So
It
if
is,
they're
and
quarantined, then
that-
we'll give,
sorry.
right.
That would be great. If they can send an email or a phone call to let us know, that would help us. We're still gonna give those meals to those individuals that come to pick up for someone, but if they are quarantined, it would be nice to have that information. I don't think I'm gonna get audited on it, but if we had it, it would be helpful.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
JC?
Yes.
Again, appreciate all that you're leading on this. It sounds like we really got things moving. Could you just kind of give us an example of what the nature of a meal is? I don't really, we've talked about meals, but I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, so we are still required because of, to follow the National School Lunch Program and Breakfast Program. So I still have to make sure we have so many orange and dark red. We have to have dark green veggies. We've got broccoli on there. We've got red bell peppers. We've got carrots. We still have to have a fruit every day. We can count juice. A half cup juice would count. There has to be at least 2 grain bread and 2 meat alternate every day, which we have in the main entrees. So one day we're doing turkey and cheese on bun. One day is yogurt, string cheese, and banana bread for the entree. We're doing a ham and cheese on bun, turkey and cheese wrap, and then a muffin and string cheese with sunflower seeds on the side. So it's gonna be grab and go and quick stuff, but I still have to meet the guidelines. There's a couple things we're still trying to figure out how to work in there, like a half a cup of beans and legumes, and I haven't quite figured that out yet. The districts that have 50% free or reduced are following summer feeding. Oh, and they have to have milk, sorry. They get a milk for breakfast and for lunch, so it'll be 2 milks a day. The districts that have high free and reduced or under summer feeding program guidelines do not have to follow the same guidelines that, say, Blue Valley and Spring Hill are having to follow. We are still under the National School Lunch Program and School Breakfast Program guidelines until further notice.
Gotcha.
Any more questions for JC?
This might be more of a question for Misty, but, I know I went in today to kind of get some information, and I know it was on Facebook, but like the web pages, I don't, either I'm missing it, or like if you go to the school, each school web, like.
It's not under each school, it is just under the main homepage because I couldn't honestly figure out NutriSlice yesterday. I was trying to put this menu in there, so it's under the homepage, so it's probably something I just need to get with Misty about. I couldn't figure out how to, without deleting.
We'll try to get it on the
menus.
other, it should be on the main, web page.
It's grab and go meals. Can you go to parents and students and the nutrition services meal menu?
Oh, okay.
We'll work with Misty
Yeah.
to see if we can get that on the main page and and we'll link it to the other, school websites.
Oh, okay, nutrition services,
Right, I'm gonna let JC go. Cleaning, Kylie,
Thank you.
Delphi's gonna come in. He's gonna kinda tell you what we've been doing with cleaning. Yeah, Kylie, just come forward towards that phone and then you're,
Over here?
yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to give just a brief overview of cleaning we did over spring break, our ongoing cleaning protocol, and what we will do if there's a confirmed case of COVID within one of our facilities. I want to first start out saying that it was not an easy task to deep clean all the facilities throughout the district within a week. I want to give a big thanks to all of our custodial, maintenance, and ground staff for all the hard work in getting this task complete. I would also like to thank Tanya Hurt, Sylvia Kennard, Kim Wright, Michelle Rohr, Heidi Versaw, Lupe Schreier, Ryan Sullivan, Katie Godsey, all from Nutritional Services who helped us deep clean during spring break. And additionally, I'd like to thank all administrators for working with us and ensuring each facility remained empty while we performed the deep cleaning procedure. So during spring break, we did a top-down cleaning process was performed district-wide. This included Hilltop, District Service Center, and Board Office, along with all the school buildings. Within each building, the cleaning included office spaces, classrooms, nurse stations, libraries, locker rooms, multi-purpose areas, restrooms, hallways, etc. Dusting and sanitizing was performed on all light fixtures, vents, cabinets, sinks, desks, chairs, keyboards, monitors, and floors. Additionally, disinfecting was performed on all high-touch areas as sinks, desks, chairs, door handles, light switches, panic bars, keyboards, lockers, hardwood floors, urinals, and stalls. All carpet areas were spot extracted and disinfected. The disinfectants used were registered with the EPA under List N of the registered disinfectants and approved for use against COVID-19. In addition to deep cleaning, we electrostatically sprayed all hard surfaces, areas with disinfectant, and offices, classrooms, libraries, multi-purpose areas with an electrostatic sprayer. Our ongoing cleaning protocol is as follows. Cleaning operations will go on as normal in areas that have been occupied or had human contact. This includes removal of trash, vacuuming, dusting, cleaning, and other daily cleaning activities. Any areas that have been used or occupied by an individual will be sanitized, and all high-touch areas, including desks, handles, light switches, keyboards, stalls, urinals, will all be disinfected. The areas that are not being occupied we will continue to monitor and clean as necessary, and may perform some of our summer cleaning activities if possible. Small bottles of disinfectant and microfiber cloths will be provided to staff as needed so they can disinfect their personal areas if they wish. We proactively ordered hand sanitizer and were fortunate enough to obtain 86 12-ounce bottles and 72 4-ounce bottles. Some of that hand sanitizer has been distributed to our maintenance, grounds, nutritional service, and technology staff who are currently working, and additional bottles will be provided to staff upon request. Heating and cooling air filters will be changed within the coming weeks to improve indoor air quality and to mitigate molds and pollens from outside. All staff that are cleaning will wear proper personal protective equipment and will be attentive to hand hygiene. We will continue to work with our local and state health department to ensure appropriate protocols and guidelines are met, such as updated additional guidance for cleaning and disinfecting. In the case that there is COVID-19 in one of our facilities, we will follow the CDC recommendations in cleaning and disinfecting. The CDC recommendations are as follows. Close off all areas by the ill person and wait as long as practicable for cleaning and disinfecting to minimize potential exposure to respiratory droplets. Open outside doors and windows to increase air circulation in the area. If possible, wait up to 24 hours before beginning cleaning and disinfecting the area. Cleaning staff should clean and disinfect all areas, office, bathrooms, common areas used by the person, focusing especially on frequently touched surfaces. All staff that are cleaning will wear proper protective equipment, including gloves, gowns, safety glasses, and masks, and will be attentive to hand hygiene. We do have a few custodians over the age of 60, and we will move them to a different location if the outbreak of COVID-19 happens within their facility. Any questions?
Kylie's pretty thorough, so do you guys have any questions for him?
Yeah, I'm curious as to how you knew what kind of cleaning products that you needed, and what did you have to do to get those here in time to get the cleaning done?
Well, the cleaning products we use, they were already registered for the EPA, so we already had them, we were lucky. Some of the things, I'm part of the International Facility Maintenance Association, and I was looking at a blog in California and how things were getting backed up, and so that's why I went ahead. I was like, that's gonna come here, I wanna be proactive and get that stuff ordered so I can get it in time. That's why we were lucky enough to get the hand sanitizer and some other of the spray disinfectant, so, yeah, thanks.
Kylie, this is an amazing job. I'm trying to follow those guidelines within my own office, and I can't even wrap my head around all of the buildings, so I'm extremely impressed with what you've done, and thank you.
I also want to compliment, I don't know if you heard, but Kylie knew that things were going to get tight, and he reached out to JC to see if any of her employees and nutrition services were wanting to come in and get some extra work over spring break, and they came in and made this happen. So not only certainly appreciate his people, but also appreciate other people seeing a need and jumping in and helping out.
Yes, big thanks to them.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna let Kylie go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a new term that you're gonna need to get to learn and understand. I don't know if you have to understand it, but you're gonna get to learn it. The continuous learning plan. And Karen Brock, our Director of Curriculum Instruction, and actually this year, no assessment. So she's gonna visit with you about our continuous learning plan. You might wanna walk a little closer to the phone right there. Yes, ma'am.
That's why they were standing over here. Good evening. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
It has been a busy and exciting couple of days trying to figure out what to do with all of this. I am relieved we don't have to put the assessment part, because that was going to be, I don't even know how we would have figured all that out. So that is taken off the plates. Met with a virtual meeting today with all the principals and all of the instructional coaches and Dr. Burke and Mr. Wilson. And we have a plan for elementary and we have a plan for secondary. The elementary plan is to keep it no tech. We are creating weekly what we're calling choice boards, and they basically look like a calendar, and there's a column of reading, there's a column of writing, a column of math, some social studies and science, social emotional, and then specials, art and PE, things like that. The teachers are going to start meeting virtually, led by their team of instructional coaches, and they're going to start coming up with activities that are very low stress for parents to do, very low tech to do, very low materials, things like in math, as grade appropriate, obviously. If you're working on fractions, find your favorite recipe in the cookbook and double it. Things that they can do at home. Go out in the yard, find 4 different kinds of leaves. See if you can identify them. Just stuff that can be done at home that doesn't include a lot of tech or a lot of materials that have to be sent back and forth. So we're going to create these choice boards. We will have 8 of them, one for each week coming up. They will be on our website on the COVID-19 link on that page. They'll be over on the side. They're not there yet because they haven't developed them yet. But they will be linked by grade and then week by week by week, so they'll all stay on there. People can download them and have them at home, but then we will also make copies, and we will work with JC at the pickup places. I believe they said probably Spring Hill Elementary and Woodland Spring, and we will have copies there, so if they need some, they can be handed right there on the spot, and they'll have a week's worth of work to take home and go, and it'll be ready to at all times. We're trying to make it as stressful as we can for everybody, for the teachers, for the parents, for the students. Give them something to think about, something to do, but not make them stress about it. Met with secondary today. They are going with Google Classroom, and the teachers will all have Google Classroom set up. They hope to have assignments start rolling on Mondays. On Monday morning at 8:30, that week's assignments will show up. They are still kind of working out some of those plans between them. The 2 middle schools are going to plan together, so everything they do will be the same at both middle schools. And then the high school, those teachers are working also. Let's see, what else did we talk about?
We're trying to be cognizant, when we said technology, we're trying to be cognizant that there's lots of work that can be done and you can be technology rich, but we also realize that in our community, there's some issues with internet access. But somebody having slow internet does not mean they have no internet. And so we are cognizant of that and trying to work around slow internet, be able to have lots of different things. Johnson County Community College, we still have dual credit classes, so we're continuing to work with them to see what it looks like. I know that we have some AP classes that we're waiting on information from them. Probably more than anything, we're trying to talk about 2 different things with our staff. One is trying to be consistent in what we're teaching, and so that, you know, you may have one teacher that's able to be at home alone, and they may have the ability to do all kinds of things. You may have another teacher in the same grade level in the same building that's sitting at home with 3 kids. And so we're trying to be cognizant to make sure that there's an equity issue across the district. We've also had parents that have called us with concerns about their ability to help their children. And if we make it too extreme, that they're afraid that they may not be able to help their kids. But the second part is that social emotional learning aspect. There's a lot of things that kids are going through a mourning period right now, depending on the level, but high school kids, it's really tough right now because spring sports, spring activities has been taken away from them through CASHA. Prom is not going to happen at the normal time. Graduation would be a long shot to happen at the same time. We're using the word postponed because those kids have earned it. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that they get a prom and a graduation. But, you know, for the younger kids, that transition from middle school, some of the kids have been waiting for spring sports activities to play, and they have lost that. And not only are we telling them they can't come to school and hang out with their friends, but they're supposed to be doing social distancing at home, meaning the parents that are enforcing that, the kids are missing a lot of that. And then you have kindergarten roundup, which I know is a big annual rite of passage. And again, we're using the word postpone. But we know that there's a lot of stress out there right now. We want to make sure that any learning that they have, we store that up and take care of that so that we don't lose what we've already gained. We'll continue to add new learning and enrichment activities, but there's lots of there's lots of ideas out there. And a lot of it is one of the teachers was telling, or one of our nurses was telling me today that her children go to another school district, that their teacher had sent them this really cool thing for them to watch, and it took her 2 hours to download it. And so those are things that we're having to be cognizant of, as you can be technology rich, but you may be internet poor. And so again, we're going to look and see how well that is going out. Doesn't mean we're not going to do different things. Teachers can, with a phone and a camera, can really do some really cool lessons. We just have to be cognizant that not every kid that has that teacher may be able to download and get that. So anyway, lots of different things. Teachers are start coming in on Wednesday. And when I say coming in, it's probably going to be virtually, because we're doing our best to maintain that 10 people in an area in that 6 foot distance. So, any questions for Karen?
So I know we're still working through the details. Thank you, Karen, for all your work on this too and your team. My first question is always about our special education department students, the IEP students. What does that plan look like?
They are, the teams of teachers who are designing each of the boards includes at least, I think all of them each have like 2 sped teachers on that team. So they are spread out across all of those. And then Mrs. Garing and Mrs. Jados are also working with them to make sure that there's still guidance coming from the state. It's not all quite solid yet, but they've been working and they have a huge document on how to do it and links for them to use. So they're on top of that also, but the sped teachers are included in all of the planning.
Okay, and then, so if I understand right, it'll be kind of a packet, if you will. They can download it or pick it up for elementary.
Yes.
And then will they turn that back in? Or is it assigned? Do they get it back to the teacher somehow?
No, it does not go back to the teacher. A lot of these are hands-on activities to be done at home, just to kind of enhance learning a little bit. Also, on the website, I forgot to say, there is a link on there also, and I think it's called Elementary, I'm going blank now, but it's enrichment activities. Above and beyond the choice boards, there's a plethora of links and sites, and they're adding to them all the time. People are coming up with, here's something you can use. They're growing that list so parents would have all sorts of other opportunities of different avenues if they wanted to add stuff for them to be doing. That will also be on the website.
Okay, and then, so with that, still kind of in elementary, I know Dr. Burke was talking about, obviously we've got some teachers that have multiple kids at home and some with none. So will these, so all of, for instance, 2nd grade across the district would have the same,
Yes,
or in the same building they'd have the same? Is that?
All, the choice board is the same for the grade, for the entire district, to keep it equitable. Yep.
Perfect. And then will they have access to the teacher and would they go to their own teacher they were assigned to this year with questions?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have asked that as part of taking care of them socially and emotionally, we are asking elementary teachers to take the time each week to contact their kids somehow, some way, to maintain some sort of personal contact with their students, be it through email, be it through writing them a letter or something, but we're asking that each of them stay in contact. And then on secondary level, they're going to do that through their advisory.
I think Brent just called it.
Advisory?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to maintain a personal contact with each student.
Brent, did you just call in?
I did, I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay, and then moving on to secondary, I know they'll be using Google Classroom.
Yes.
So they will be then turning in assignments. That's different than
Yes,
elementary.
yes. They'll be turning in assignments and getting feedback from the teacher via Google Classroom.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
The other thing about the continuous learning plan, that it is so important, the state, in order for us to give us a waiver so that we can be forgiven of not meeting the minutes of seat time, there's 2 criteria. One of those criteria is that we have a continuous learning plan, and that's what we're working on. We have to get board approval for that, and the board approval has to be before April 8th. We do not have another board meeting until April 13th. So I've asked for a special board meeting on April 6th. Our plan is to probably have all that together and send it to you the Friday before the 6th. That way you have a chance to kind of look at that and see it. There's no secrets to this. We'll probably put it on our district website, but we need board approval in order to get the waiver. That's part 1. Part 2 of it is that we have to pay our classified staff, and we have to continue to provide for them. The caveat in that is there's going to be some people that can come in and work. There may be times that we have our paras come in. There may be times food service can work. There may be times custodians work. There's also times that some people may need to stay home because of them being at risk. So those are the 2 parts of the waiver, and so we have to make sure that we meet that. I'll talk a little bit more about the classified in a little bit, but Do you have any more questions for Karen?
I guess so we are staying up with, a class level, I guess, in the instruction and not watering it down so much to make sure parents can teach it. Are the teachers gonna be available to help if there's some cases where the parents
Yes.
can't help?
Yeah, absolutely. And the first thing the teachers are gonna do on the whole long list of their stuff is look at their fourth quarter standards and prioritize those and which ones they need to hit, and that's what they're going to write the activities around to make sure they're getting those fourth quarter standards. And so that is job one with the teachers. So yeah, they're gonna stay up with that, but it's not gonna be something that is gonna be terribly hard for parents to do either.
Balancing act.
Yep, absolutely. Keeping the stress low for everybody.
And Karen, maybe you are sending us your notes from this, or that's what's gonna be posted, Dr. Burke, or?
Yeah, we'll put together a nice document. Right now, it's
Yeah.
kind of a long, convoluted
Yeah,
thought
we
list.
still got a couple weeks to put it together, but yeah, we will be sending that to you, probably about the 3rd of April.
Okay, and so if I'm understanding right, we have to approve it by, did you say the 8th?
Yes.
Yeah, we have to have it into them by the 8th, and the Monday prior to that is the 6th.
So when will this start?
We're hoping to get something up next week. If
Okay, so
we can
start.
hit Monday, it'd be great. We're not sure we can get everything up on
Yeah.
Monday.
We have some things on the website right now, we have some enrichment activities, we have
That's already there.
we have some things that they could go, but the actual direct teaching, our plan is to start that on Monday.
Yeah, to be clear, the board isn't really approving what we're going to do with kids. We're gonna get that put together, we're gonna start delivering it with kids. But this plan is also part of the waiver that allows the forgiveness of the 1,116 hours that have to be in every school year. And that waiver application does have to be approved by the board. So that'll include our assurances, that'll include this plan, and so we're gonna come together to approve that, which has to be submitted to the state by the 8th.
Okay, that makes sense, thank you. I was just wondering how we were putting it out next week if we weren't approving it. to let you know.
You're not really approving the learning, you're approving the application to the state.
It's the
That
application.
we have a plan.
I'm sorry, I wasn't very clear on that.
That's okay, thank you for clarifying.
All right, we're gonna
Anything
let,
else?
we're going, did somebody else say something?
That's it.
We're gonna let Dr. Brock go, because she's got a busy day tomorrow. And Phil Elliott is going to come in and talk to you about technology.
Hello. So, got some notes here just so I don't lose track of what I've been thinking about. I think I want to start with, and I think it's important for everybody to understand, my mantra, so to speak, through this whole thing has been that we need to focus on the tools and the activities that we've already been doing. And as the need arises, we look at some new things. There's plenty of stress in our households, and Dr. Burke mentioned this earlier, that the last thing we want to do is introduce more into those homes. And that's everything from our teachers and our administrators to our students and our parents. So that's one of the things we've been trying to look at is how can we use the tools we already have and leverage them in a successful way, especially with the vast difference in internet and general access across our community. We did a lot with the phone system in the last couple days, basically to everything from allowing or setting up all of our voicemails to be delivered via email so that they don't have to worry about calling in and checking. That will be finished tomorrow. We got a little over half of those done today. To setting up some auto attendance, providing some more information and access for people remotely as well. Been doing a lot of brainstorming within the department to try to come up with some supports for our students and families with technology issues. And so we'll be working closely with the buildings to take advantage of some of those staff that are already kind of our tier one, our media center specialists, those kinds of people, that they'll be kind of the initial contact, and then they'll escalate it up to us. We're going to be creating an appointment-based system to pick up and drop off damaged equipment, because we're still going to get screens broken and we're still going to get liquid spilled on the keyboards, and I mean, that stuff's still going to happen, so we need to have a mechanism in place to solve that. We've been working with the curriculum and buildings on teacher and staff needs, trying to be a brainstorm and solution environment for those groups, while at the same time being the fuddy-duddy and reminding them that the laws still haven't changed. We still have privacy issues to deal with. We still have age limits and restrictions and things like that that we need to keep in mind. We are working to identify some internet access resources. Everybody is doing the PR thing in the internet access world of saying we'll give free this and free that, but our initial contact with one of the cell phone providers was that, yeah, we can get you some access points, and then when you made the request, the delivery date was July. So I think they've got a supply and demand problem just like a lot of other areas. Maybe not quite as bad as toilet paper, but pretty close. Then just in overall answering a lot of questions and being involved in a lot of discussions to try to ensure that everybody's got what they need. So be happy to answer any questions if anybody has specific topics.
So I see that we just, while we're talking, got that in our inboxes for our students to fill out the continuous learning, and it asks if the family has reliable internet. And I think what you're saying is if someone checks no on that you're going to work with them so we can help them. Right?
We're going to try.
Okay.
At this point, I can't make any promises because quite frankly, I'm not getting a warm fuzzy from very many service providers at the moment.
Worst case scenario, Ally, is that we will provide them a written packet and make sure they get it to them, paper, pencil.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for working on that.
You bet.
The other thing is, we're not really live streaming. We are live streaming, so we're on YouTube. I think we'll be able to probably use Zoom at the next meeting so that you can be on your computer, you can come straight in. The reason that we didn't do it tonight is there's still a few bugs to be worked out. I think there was another school district that had a major unexpected issue with some content that was made public that they certainly were not supportive of. So we want to make sure that we get all those bugs worked out before we try to go with a Zoom meeting. But that gives us a couple more weeks to kind of work that out. If you don't have any more questions for Phil, I certainly appreciate he set everything up tonight for us, and he'll be setting everything up for us for the next 2 weeks. So thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bring in Misty. Misty's going to talk to you about communications. Other than Brad and I, the person that's probably had the least sleep, or maybe less sleep than Brad and I, is Misty, because about the time we have a good idea, something changes and everything that she's put together gets changed, but she's did a phenomenal job of putting information out. I was going to let her share some ideas and some things that have been going on, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that you've probably seen a lot of the things that I'm going to mention here, so just wanted to let you know that we are sending out almost daily emails to parents and staff, making sure that they're both getting the same set of information. We also take those emails, the content, and put it on our website so that you can go back and reference any of those emails that were sent out. We also if you've been to our website, you can see that there's a big banner on actually all of the schools as well. That if you click the banner, it takes you to a set of web pages that are dedicated to the closure of schools, including the menu requests and some FAQs, which we're adding to on a daily basis. Of course, all that is pushed out to social media as well, along with trying to monitor all the accounts with questions and troubleshooting some of those comments, and just trying to stay on top of all of those accounts and the information that people want and need. We've also been working with our office personnel so that they understand what messaging is coming from the district and what messaging needs to come from schools, and also providing them with templates so that we're all saying the same thing and that same message is getting communicated to parents across the board. Other than that, I think those are all of the things that we've got going on, tying together, just trying to make sure that the same information is standard across the board.
And I can tell you for a fact that I know that at least one time last week, we had everything done, we're ready to push send, and then a new announcement came in and we made adjustments, and we about had that ready to send, and then a different announcement was made. And there's still some things out there that we're still working, or we're still waiting to have it worked out. There's still some requirements through the special education and special services that there is some disagreement between the federal government and some of the states and some of the requirements and what's in federal law. So we're still waiting on that. Also food service and other things as well. And so sometimes you can have a talking head get on TV and say something, and that doesn't mean that the people that enforce it below them are in agreement. And we've run into that time and time again. So certainly appreciate Misty. Do you guys have any questions for her?
Just thank you for everything. I understand that things are changing by the minute almost, so.
And one of the things that Misty and I have talked about quite a bit is, you know, we can send something out with full faith, and this is the way things are on Monday, and then the rules change, and then we may send something out that's different on Tuesday. And again, we're trying to be as open and as factual as we can, but sometimes the rules and even sometimes the regulations are changing. And so we're trying to be as clear, we're careful about what we're saying, verbiage is very important, but there may be a time that what we're saying right now changes within a week or two, or less.
And I can't miss my opportunity to say, please use all district website and social media as the source for information when you are referring someone with a question. Make sure that it comes from the district resources.
My only question on communication at the individual buildings, are the front office people there to answer the phones? Is
that automated system that Phil had mentioned will feed directly to them to answer questions. And we've provided,
so they can do that. Gotcha.
Yeah, we've provided resources for them to reference to be able to answer the questions that we have answers for already.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how long we'll have people there. You know, they've told us to try to keep people home. And so within the next few days, we may not have people in the offices. And we may have it set up that the automated system directs them to a person's personal phone. And then that person may have to take a few minutes to get hold of somebody else. The one thing that we're really trying to do is there is a ton of stuff on the frequently asked questions. We're asking people, please look on there. Lots of answers. And if you find something that's not on there, then sure, send us an email and we'll do the best that we can to give you an answer. But you know, we don't have as many people in right now. We're trying to do what the county says, and in doing that, that means we need to keep people home. So any of those answers that can be obtained early, we certainly appreciate.
And we've encouraged all our parents to use the emails that go directly to the buildings, as well as the info email that comes directly to the district, and we respond to all those emails in a timely manner.
We will continue communicating. Misty's doing a great job, so if you guys don't need her, we're gonna send her on.
Hopefully it's sleep.
Yeah, unfortunately, she's gotten a lot of call on Saturdays and Sundays the last, both weekends, and so that's really cutting into our personal time, so we appreciate it, Misty. One of the last things we have is there's lots of talk about childcare, and Brad Wilson is our liaison for childcare, so I want you to hear, want him to visit with you about what he's hearing.
I know this meeting has probably been a little longer than you expected with just a single double action item, but I'm actually childcare, I will address, it is still somewhat in the unknown, but I also want to recognize some other groups that have gone and done above and beyond. Our nurses, the vast majority of the medicines for kids that are on site and stored in our nurse's office have been delivered to parents back to them. We did a drive up, just like we will do drive up for the food service. We did that. I also got to note that in some of that food service, our in-town food service, we know we're going to have some lockers. The Spring Hill Police and crossing guards are going to make sure that they're available to help A, enforce social distancing, but B, make sure kids are safe as they get to those food locations. Our administrators, what they're dealing with is not doing their job under stressful conditions. It's actually changing their job and doing it unlike they've ever done it before. And they've been outstanding. You've heard from several of our directors tonight that they're doing a fantastic job, but I gotta tell you, our principals are leading their buildings and their staffs and their teachers, and their work has been happening and is coming up even more full, and so are our teachers. They're going to be doing outstanding work, making sure that our kids have learning, but they're also, every teacher is going to make contact with every student every single week. Many of them will do it multiple times to make sure that their kids are okay and that their family situation's okay and that some of those just connection needs are also met. I gotta thank all of those groups of people. Our paras, they're gonna be going above and beyond. Again, it's not going to look like what their daily work is. They may, and some of them have already been helping, they may help in food service, they may help in the childcare that we're gonna talk about in a minute. There's a lot of things that they're gonna do that aren't really their job description. The nurses also made donations of masks as well as some other supplies to Johnson County MedAC, also a nursing home in our area as well. I will tell you that the people that we've been interacting, Dr. Burke and I have been interacting with this week and last week, have all felt, first of all, that this is a huge opportunity. They feel lucky that they have something to do to help. We know there's a lot of people out there that are going, I don't know what to do to help in this situation. And our people feel very positive about their ability to help our community, because we've gone from a school district to a community district, helping the whole community get better. And our people are looking on the bright side of everything. Talked a little bit about special education. It is gonna look different, but maybe Karen talked about, they have actually a full plan of how do they do IEPs. They've canceled the ones for the upcoming week, but then they're gonna reschedule them and then they're gonna start other ones. So they've got a lot of work ahead of them because there's different placements for all of those. Again, I can't go very long without just recognizing our people who have been outstanding. As far as childcare, we have a task force together of all Johnson County. We met last week, last Friday. It is Eldana Chestnut who is leading it, and she is in the Kansas Department of Health and Environment, and she is the chief licensing, runs that division of licensing daycares. We are really looking in schools. You might really think we like to help, and so we're going to be very helpful, but the reality of it is we are offering up our schools. Johnson County can, at any time in an emergency, and we've been declared a state of emergency, can commandeer our buildings and use them for whatever purposes they see fit. The reality of it is they've been even better than that because they partnered with us and say, hey, how can we best do this? And so with their guidance, we've worked with them to determine what our capacities under our current directives are from the state as well as from the county to determine how many kids we could put in each of our sites that could provide daycare. We're looking for priorities. These will be from the county of healthcare workers, essential employees, hospitals, those types of things, first responders, whether that be ambulance, medical, or fire, police, and how do we provide services for their kids so that they can take care of our community. And so that's what we're working together with Johnson County to determine. The county has asked for the rest of this week till next Friday to determine that priority list and to try to figure out what the numbers are of those individuals and how many kids we'd be talking about. But we're partnering not only with Johnson County, but also with YMCA and to make sure that those are gonna be available as soon as possible. But the county is working through trying to figure out what those priorities. They have a lot of probably more political things to go through than we do a lot of times, and so they've got to ensure everybody's happy while also providing the service. So my expectation is we're still probably 2 weeks away, hopefully a week, but maybe 2 weeks away before childcare is happening in our district. What questions do you have? And then guess what, before I leave, I'm gonna tell you that our people have exceeded our expectation. I'm guessing you're gonna hear the same thing from Dr. Burke, is how absolutely fantastic. Anytime we ask anybody to do anything, whether it's in their scope or outside of their scope of normal work, they have jumped up and eagerly done it.
Any more questions for Brad? I'll wrap this up. You know, if you would have asked me a week ago what was our plan, we had a good idea, but we weren't exactly sure what all was going to happen. The parameters do keep changing on us, but we've been adjusting. I agree with Brad, very, very proud of our people. Do like the idea that I sent you an email asking your feelings about paying our classified staff, even if the year ended, and you were overwhelmingly supportive. Thankfully, the state is now going to come in and has required that, so, but we know ahead of time that you were gonna do it anyway, so thank you. Thank you for that. There still is an expectation that people work, and that expectation may look in different things. You know, it may not be fair either. There may be times that our food service is working more days than maybe somebody else and still getting paid for the same amount of time. We're gonna try to put as many people to work as we can. There's also gonna be situations where we tell people to stay home because either they're at risk or we're afraid that they may put other people at risk. And so, you know, fairness is one of those things that has come up quite a bit. We're gonna do the best that we can to be fair, but we do have an expectation that people will work. And was on a Zoom meeting with the state, and I was hearing about at least more than one school district that was asking people to do different things, and they were refusing. And we've not had that at all, and hopefully we won't. But the state did say that their expectation of payment for these people is that they work. Again, some people will work more than others, some people will get to work from home, and it may not look all the same. But I'm excited that we have this opportunity to continue to provide for these people so that they can provide for their families. So this took much longer than I intended. I apologize, but at the same time, I know that some of you reached out to me individually and wanting updates, and I figured it was just easier to give everybody one update at the same time. So with that, I'll stand for any questions.
We've successfully put you to sleep for tonight.
So, Mr. Updike, you are,
Just
we're done.
a couple observations that I just sitting here listening to all of these updates that I really wanted to bring up and voice at least my opinion about that is something that's just incredibly impressive is how something that could have been viewed very negatively from a position of being a victim, that hasn't happened. That everyone that has presented tonight, everyone that's talked, when you look at the community, this has been, Brad said it, it's viewed as an opportunity, which says we have a really strong district that has very collaborative leadership that drives this environment. And I think that starts with you, Dr. Burke. I think it moves to Brad, and I think it works throughout the entire organization. And so there's a tremendous accomplishment in what's happened here. It's very positive. I think we won't do things. We're learning how to do things in different ways, and just to have the environment that people feel the freedom that Karen Brock and Phil and Kylie and Misty and JC all have, feel the freedom to be able to look at things very, very differently. And I think that's absolutely critical to the success. I think the way our district will view this will not be from that victimized position. It will be from a position of learning. We may not improve learning for the rest of the year for all the students, but I think based on the plan that I saw, that I heard Karen talk about, we'll certainly maintain it. And under the circumstances, I think that's an accomplishment. So that's just a few of the observations I had. I think kudos and all the accolades go to everyone in the district, because they are stepping outside what they probably would have been comfortable doing 2 weeks ago. And for us to have come this far in that short amount of time, and I know it's run a lot of people through the ringer, but it's pretty impressive accomplishment. So those are my thoughts. Huh?
Do you mind if I interject one
No,
more time?
go ahead.
When things are going well, we're a school district. When it comes for a time of crisis, people start looking to the leader, the head. And one thing I just want to say is, and I have been fortunate, and you guys don't get the same luxury, but I've heard it from director, principal, whatever, the leadership that Dr. Burke has provided probably exceeds anywhere that you'll find. And just that it really is. We're just going to keep moving forward, keep crunching. And when you've got somebody that's solid and not wavering, it gives you a lot of confidence to be able to do some of the things you heard tonight.
I didn't pay him. I may have to buy him dinner, but I promise I didn't pay him. Thank you, everybody. To have all of you at the last minute come in, I certainly appreciate being able to do this. So that's all we have, Mr. Updike. So.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Thanks for putting this together, everyone. It's very informational.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
We have to adjourn the meeting.
And if you do have questions, please call us.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
We need a motion to adjourn.
Jason?
Move
to adjourn.
Let all your folks know how appreciative the board is for everybody chipping in and working hard to make this as painless as possible.
Definitely, we will.
Okay, do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Appreciate you
everybody.
calling in.
Yes, please. Yep,
Bye.
please pass on our good things.
We will. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming in, you two. We appreciate it.
Well, I think we need to do something. I think the board needs to put together something.
I did get confirmation, docs are all good, so.
Yay!
Courier